Welcome to the Carrie Danger Podcast. I'm Carrie Danger. I'm joined by Asa today from Gooseberry, and you guys are kicking off your Midwest tour, and this is very exciting. So, just to give the listener a brief rundown, Gooseberry's come through multiple times. They have so much awesome music that you have to check out. We'll make sure we link everything in the show notes, and they're going to be over at Winchester, and that is a show that's coming up. That's July 11th. So, very exciting. Now, you can go get tickets now if you want to jump on that before we even get into the conversation. I highly recommend you head over to Gooseberry Band on IG. You can also go to the Winchester's website in addition to that. So very cool. They're going to be joined by Whiffler and Brag Goodall. And let's get into it. Asa, how you been, man? We've talked a few times before this. I'm so excited to have you on my actual podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been good. It's been a little crazy. I think the last time that we saw you was like 2 years ago, right? At this point,
Yeah.
which is pretty wild. But yeah, in that time, a lot has happened. We released our debut record, which I think when we were in studio to chat about then. We've since gone on to, tour all over the U.S. and Canada. We have opened for a Beatle, which happened at some point. We are now, I think today, so by the time people listen to this, we'll also have announced the fact that we're going on tour in Europe at the end of this year, and the United Kingdom. So yeah, and we have a new record coming out. So just a lot happening.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Now, the new record that's dropping is called Simple Sucker, and you've got two
Mm-hmm.
singles out right now. And I was working out at the gym and I just listened to everything that you guys have provided to us on Spotify so far. And I can hear like you've got that tried and true Gooseberry sound. And the more recent singles, I don't know, they've got this like gritty, like, I don't know how to describe it feeling to it, but I love it. It's kind of like Foo Fighters, Queens of the Stone Age had a baby
Yeah.
and named it Gooseberry, and I just love that.
I Yeah, that's great. I hope that that comes through. Those are obviously huge influences for us, but also, it's still got all the things that are mixed in there. We have our jazz leanings, we have just like some of the folk stuff. So, but it's definitely a bit heavier. We had like a major focus on trying to stay within a single world. I think the last record we did, which I really loved, we kind of had all these disparate influences, and it felt like from song to song it could change pretty dramatically. We said, okay, we've done one like that, which hopefully grants us the latitude with our fans to go wherever, so they'll just trust us. And so for this one, we're like, all right, what if we stay more singularly in like in one sort of thematic universe, and that is this 90s grungier kind of thing. And I think so. This record definitely has more of a cohesion track to track, and so the first two singles we released, Dudok and Go Fish, I think point to that, and then it's only gonna get grungier from here.
Well, you said you want your fans to be able to trust you and come along the journey, and I can tell you just from someone who has listened to you multiple times, I'm always on the journey with you guys, and I think that your other
Appreciate that.
fans are absolutely the same way. Very cool. So Go Fish, like you said, Durak, and how would you describe those singles? I mean, you kind of did already that 90s grungy, but someone who has
Mhm.
genuinely never checked it out, which one would you recommend they start with, or, how would you describe it to them?
I would, hmm, between those two, I'd say I'd probably tell them to start with Go Fish. I think that's gonna get them in the right headspace for the rest of the tracks to come. I think, they both are pretty close to one another though, and so I don't think you're missing much from one to the other. But Dudrock is definitely a bit more abrasive, I think maybe is the right word. Hopefully in a good way. But, I think something we learned from the last record is the first single we released for our debut record, which was All My Friends Are Cattle. The song was called Kikion, which is, it's this strange word that most people, at least certainly Americans, don't know. It's this sort of like upbeat punk kind of thing that's clearly aggressive, but like you're not sure, is it making fun of me or somebody else? Like, am I? And I think Dudarak has a lot of that too. But Kikion ended up becoming our like it took like a year to catch on, but after a year, it sort of started to do this upward trajectory thing where now it's crossed over 1 million streams, sort of like in the background without us realizing. And so maybe hopefully Dudrock does that too, but because of that, I'm gonna choose Go Fish just because Go Fish feels a little bit more easily accessible as opposed to that.
I can understand that for sure. Yeah, I really enjoyed both of them quite a bit. I think I actually wrote this down. It's got that distortion and grit, and it is probably my new favorite song of the month of June. Durock.
Oh, hell yeah.
You saying Durock?
Yeah, Durak. Yeah,
Oh,
it's a Russian it's a Russian word, so you gotta really hit the R's, you know.
I'm from Tennessee, so it's like Durack, you know.
Yeah, you know what? That works too. Honestly, like my fiance is Russian, and she's always like laughing when I have to either say the song on stage and like announce it, or to hear like fans say it to us. And a cool thing that happened though was, we often will play songs that we're working on ahead of releasing them, kind of like stress testing it out in the world and just see, because we're always on tour. So like, might as well try things out, keep things fresh. And I remember we played, I think it was in Madison, Wisconsin. I'm pretty sure that we played last year, and we played that song, and I like we mentioned that it was called Duderock, and somebody in the back was like, "Oh hell yeah," because it's a like if you know it, you know it because it's like a very popular card game.
Oh, that's why
But
it
only
sounded
for
familiar.
well, yeah, it's basically like in America we have a card game called Asshole, or some people know it as President or like there's like so many different names for it, which is not a perfect analog for what this game is, but like it kind of means the same in terms of title. But the thing I loved about Duderock is that like it's perfectly Soviet because there are no winners, there's only losers in the game, which is just yeah, I don't know,
No, that's
pretty
great.
amazing.
I have a wacky friend who introduced me to that game years ago, and I'm like, this sounds familiar, but beats me. It was way
There you
before
go.
I quit drinking, so
Ah, there you go. Yeah, it's usually accompanied by that.
yeah, yeah, we had a good time. I know that. Um, Geez, well, this is so exciting. Now, can you tell me about a moment when you guys realized that the band was becoming something so much bigger than a project with friends? I mean, obviously, you've been touring, you've been putting out
Hmm.
music, and you sound so dialed in. It's already been more than that, but like looking back through the years when you were like, oh my gosh, it's actually doing something, besides the song hitting over 1 million streams behind your back.
Yeah. Um, I don't know, it's tough. I think in many ways I'm very proud of where we've gotten to this point. I think we started in the pandemic, like right around the pandemic, so, obviously perfectly timed. And then we weren't really sure what was going to come of it, and I don't think until probably like the first 2 3 years we were kind of just like, yeah, we're friends playing in a band, and like it'd be fun to do this thing. And I had already been in a band since I was like 16 and touring around the country. So like I kind of knew what the game was, and it's definitely not for the faint of heart. And I was like, wasn't sure at that time whether that would happen again as we became more and more of adults or something approximating an adult. Um, but I think I'm not entirely sure we've ever or like we've arrived. We certainly haven't arrived in the way that I think we hopefully ultimately will. And so I think there's always a little bit of that in the back of your head where it's, yeah, I'm on the road playing with my friends. That's always there. But like we've committed a lot of like blood, sweat, tears, and money and time to this thing. We want it to far outpace ourselves. I mean, that's one of the great joys of it is that you can go show up in a city you've never been into, like Arcata, California, and then have, 80 people or 100 people in a room, like screaming your songs back at you. Like, that's when that started to happen. That's only been really the last, like, 8, 10 months or so of what is at this point now, like a 6 year journey. I mean, depending on what you call it. Like, we say the band started at the end of 29, early 2020. In reality, I don't think the band actually started being a real band and doing real things and like getting out on the road until 2022. So like we often think of it as like, okay, this is like year four-ish or so. But either way you slice it, like it wasn't until I think the last 8 or so months when people were singing like words to songs, particularly not the singles. Like I think it was really we were playing a show at the end of 2025 somewhere, I forget. And maybe it was like Amarillo, I don't know. But people were singing along to a song called Golden, which is just like a deep cut on the record. And I was like, "Oh, that's cool. That's cool that people have felt like this was worth their time enough to listen to a whole record. Something that's not being, advertised to them in the same way that a single is, or it's not getting on a big playlist or something like that. And they still felt it was worth their time to go listen to memorize the words, to want to go out and see it live. Like, yeah, there's no real replacement for that kind of feeling.
No, that's absolutely true. I mean, when people take the time to look at your stuff, listen to your stuff, I mean, that's
Yeah,
really important. Even as simple as sending like a message like, "Oh my gosh, I love your band," whatever.
yeah,
Something
yeah.
like that. I mean, it really does make a big difference. I think people out there listening, compliments are free and everyone would love to hear. So,
Yeah, we have very, very fragile egos, so any positive reinforcement lasts a long time. It's like
man,
I hate
you're
draw
preaching to the
that kind of
choir.
line.
I talk
Yeah,
on the radio. I can't see if I'm making an impact. I can only rely on people telling me that when they see me out in the public.
there you go. When it happens though, it's a
Oh,
dopamine hit beyond any other.
it's genuinely because when you put your heart and soul into something and it actually resonates the way you hope it does. For me, it's always Mental Health Monday. People just rave about it, and that's really special because those Mental Health Mondays are directly linked to my mental health journey. So it's like
Hmm,
we're doing it together, and you actually appreciate me talking about this. Thank you. You're never
that's
alone.
awesome.
You're never alone.
Never
Okay,
alone.
so I mean, obviously, people singing your songs back to you. I feel like kind of answers this next question. A moment, in the past year, the past 8 months, reminding you of why you got started in the first place. And I guess it goes without saying, yeah, people taking the time to listen to your music that is not, like you said, traditionally pushed. You know,
Yeah.
so I think that's really important. Um, yeah, I think that's really sweet. So I've got a couple rapid fire questions for you. Best concert you've ever attended as a guest, besides your own.
Definitely not my own. Um, wow, best concert I ever attended.
I know it's hard. You
Is
can
that
even narrow it down to like the last year.
Well, I was gonna say, is it by like, what do you mean by best? Is it like where I had the best time, where was the most memorable experience, where was the best performance? Like,
Let's do best
that helped me out here.
performance. Narrowing it down to
Best
best performance.
best performance. I saw. Well, I've seen him many times, but maybe I'll choose one where the whole band went together. We all went to see Robert Glasper perform, who is an amazing R&B and jazz artist, and he does like a month-long residency at the Blue Note in New York City a lot, like
Wow.
most years. And yeah, we all went as a band one time. That was awesome. Honestly, I actually think a different performance I saw him, I think a year or two later, where he had his like close to black radio lineup as possible. He had, like Chris Day was an amazing drummer, and I don't know, they just blew my mind. Like everything they did was just rhythmically, melodically impressive, and then also so innovative. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like I could gush about that a lot.
I can feel it. The inspiration that you left with that night, that inspiration, that spark, like
Yeah,
I love those
I
moments.
mean, it is. Yeah, I mean, I've seen him many many times. I feel like I am someone who likes to see artists they like many many times.
Yeah.
So I've seen him play as often as I can.
Yeah. That's rad. That's how I am with Jack White. Every time he comes around, I'm like, see you later, Jack. I'll be there.
Yeah, I saw. We played Bourbon and Beyond, which is a big festival in Louisville.
I
We
saw
played that.
that. Yeah, how
Yeah,
was
yeah.
that? That was cool.
That was sick. That's probably like pound for pound the biggest show that we've done. Which, like technically when we played with Ringo, because we opened directly for him, we played in front of like 5,000 people. But like the reality is, I don't know that every single person there was trained in on us in that kind of way. Like, I'm sure they tolerated us, but for this festival, like, people went out of their way to come to our section, which is on a big stage, but it was like 90 degrees and like direct sunlight, and there was no grass. It's just like you're on asphalt watching, and it's early. I think we were at like 2 or 2:30 in the afternoon, and people were there, and again, singing the songs and have posters and all that. So I think that was, and we got to meet so many cool people. I mean, we got to hang out with My Morning Jacket and run into Jack White and stuff like that. Like, that whole experience, I think, was the most. That was the most, at least for me, where I was like, oh damn, have we gotten to another place, even if but for a moment, even if but for a weekend. But Jack White performed one of the nights, the same night that we did on Saturday. He was fantastic.
You opened for Jack White.
Yeah. There were only 60 people in between us, but we opened for him.
Hey, dude, you gotta take what you can get. That's rad. I like that. And yes, you did step into a new place. And even if it was momentarily, those people are going to think back and be like, oh my God, I saw them at Bourbon and Beyond. That's amazing, and at the Ringo show.
Yeah.
I mean, gosh, how was it meeting Ringo Starr? Was that just a magical moment?
So we didn't actually meet him the first time.
Okay.
But then Ringo was also playing Bourbon and Beyond. So got to right that wrong then, and specifically our drummer Evan got to meet him, which I feel like is the most drummer to drummer kind of thing. It's got to be had to be kismet in that way. But we share the same management, so hopefully there'll be more opportunities to have run-ins with Ringo.
That's so rad. I feel like I just need to imagine them like touching sticks, like.
Yes, let us gingerly touch our toes.
Oh, that's great. All right. Most underrated band right now. I knew you'd be perfect for this question, so lay it on me.
No.
Yeah, good luck. You can give me top
Yeah.
3.
The problem is that whenever I'm asked a question like this, I have I don't know if this is like a New Yorker thing or I don't know where this comes from, but I feel like a lot of my friends do this, and I don't see it as much with other bands not from New York, where it's just like I constantly just want to shout out all the other bands that I know, like personally, like as friends, because I want them to get the shine. But then I end up rattling off just like a bunch of bands, and it's not helpful for anyone because then it's just like a list. It's just like it's just like a fire hose of.
Shut it off. Like, okay, I can't pay attention anymore.
Yeah. All right. So maybe let me try a different route then,
Okay.
because all I do is shout out those bands. Most underrated. There's this really cool band from Ireland, I believe, called Bashed, Basht,
Okay.
that I think is kind of blown up right now. So maybe I'm already too late to telling people about it. But they're very cool. They're very much in the Fontaines, DC, Wonder Horse kind of realm. And I love that stuff. And also, I mean, say anything in an Irish accent and I'm in. So maybe I'll go with them. Maybe that'll be my answer for right now. It'll change in like 2 seconds.
Bashed.
Bashed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love it. That's cool. What is your favorite road trip snack?
People will be shocked to find that life on the road doesn't always consist of the healthiest foods. The tough thing is that we always say we're gonna eat healthy.
Always.
We're gonna make a concerted effort, and then you're 4 days in, 4 shows in a row, and you're just like, oh, okay, just get me to the nearest whatever, and it's almost always Taco Bell. We do love Taco Bell. Although I think in Will's defense, I'll say for him, he always wants tacos because it's light, and typically when we were on the West Coast, he wanted fish tacos because it felt like the time to do it.
Yeah.
So he's not always fiending for Taco Bell itself, but tacos. So I'll say tacos.
I like that. That's nice.
Yeah.
For sure. And this feels like a really easy answer. Okay.
No such thing.
City that you never get tired of playing.
Do I say Cleveland?
It feels about right. I don't know.
That's the answer. I know. I genuinely do love playing in Cleveland. We're also always in Cleveland at like a perfect weather time or the most inclement weather time. Like there's no in between. We haven't had like a meh day in Cleveland. We've had mostly beautiful sunshiny like good vibes days, which I would say is like I think we've been a total of like 7 days in Cleveland. I want to say like 6 of them were that. One of them was that crazy tornado that just like blew out all the electricity and we had to cancel our show because the venues didn't have power and all that. So,
About that.
one out of every 7 might just be a cataclysmic storm,
Yeah,
but the other 6 are fantastic.
beautiful. Well, I
Yeah.
do hope that you have absolutely gorgeous weather on July 11th at the Winchester. I do want to talk about Whiffler and Brad Goodall briefly.
Mhm.
How did you all connect and make that happen? Was that a venue thing, or did you already work with these artists and musicians already and just kind of say, hey, meet us there, we're going to jam?
The latter.
Okay,
So
sweet.
we've played with Whiffler a few times in the area, and they're great. And we also played with them at the Winchester last year. So
That's why that sounded familiar. I was like,
yeah, and Brad is a really good buddy of ours. He's an incredible keyboard player, incredible songwriter. Um, he's based out of West Virginia. We played a run with Brad. I want to say 2 or 3, no, maybe 3 years ago at this point. Yeah, I think it was 2023. But I've always kept in touch, and Brad just does really cool things. Like he'll randomly be playing with like the guy from the Zombies, or like he'll be hanging out with Dawes or something like that. Because I feel like he's just an incredible musician. I feel you can drag and drop Brad into any session. He's gonna give you something that's great. And we're all big fans of his stuff. So just been trying to find any excuse to, bring our friends with us on the road. And whenever we get anywhere near the Midwest, it's like, all right, Brad, you're kind of Midwest adjacent. You want to hop onto this thing? So, and he's in the middle of, well, he did just release his latest record, which is very good, that I highly recommend people check out. And so it all just kind of lined up. So we're going to do a few shows with them. I think we're doing 5 or 6. I kind of forget the exact number, but yeah, really looking forward to jamming with him again and with her too.
heck yeah, that's gonna be sweet. So let me just double check. The 11th, I think, is that a Saturday? No, it's a
I believe
Thursday.
so. Friday?
Thursday.
Oh, it's a Thursday. Is
Actually,
that right?
oh wait,
No,
I was looking at June.
I think it's a Saturday.
Hold on, I think you're right. My phone decided to quit working on me. What? Can't get it.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say I'm pretty confident it's a Saturday.
And you'd be right. Oh, brother. This is the Carrie Danger Podcast. There's no rules here other than try not to cuss so much because I want people with kids to be able to listen to this. You know what I mean? So,
Family friendly show. It's a family
family
friendly show.
friendly. I actually did my first children's entertainment show a few weeks ago with the children's entertainer named Mr. Jeff. Dude's dope. You'd actually probably really like him. He's like the front man for, I think, an Incubus cover band. And
Whoa,
right? He's very good. So we went on stage and performed for these little kids. It was
Mr.
great.
Jeff.
Yeah.
No.
Mr. Jeff and Miss Carrie. All right. Well, since you're from New York, I feel like I have to tell you last Friday I got to see the Strokes at Blossom Music Center with Thundercat.
Very cool.
And it was rad. It was a very, very good show. Very meaningful to me because growing up, I had a bunch of dudes in the neighborhood that I hung out with, and they love the Strokes. They are the reason that I got into music as much as I did, I think.
Wow.
Besides the influences from my mom and my stepdad, and, all of the classic rock and oldies and stuff,
Sure.
and country music, obviously being from Tennessee. But
Hmm.
yeah, like the Strokes and Fratellis and like Franz Ferdinand and that kind of stuff. Yeah. So
Oh,
it
for
was really
silly.
special to see them because unfortunately, two of the brothers passed away, freak circumstances. And I was the whole time I'm there, I'm like, Patrick and Alex, can
Damn.
you feel this? When I'm like, they probably go to all these shows, whatever, in the afterlife.
Well, yeah, I'm sure somewhere they felt that,
Yeah.
but yeah, the Strokes are cool, man. They will always and forever be the cool of New York City, you know.
Dude, they're cool, man. It was awesome.
Yeah, they put on a good show. I I saw them. I not too long ago. I think they did a tour with the Chili Peppers and Thundercat, which is such an interesting grouping.
Yeah.
Um,
Very bass heavy for two of them.
yeah, yeah, seriously. Yeah, Thundercat is sick.
Dude,
Like, that, yeah, dude is
so good.
impressive.
He was
Impressive.
incredible. Uh,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, so cool. That's awesome. The show is good.
Yeah, it was great. I didn't know I was so close. The station got us pit tickets, and so we were like right up there. It was really rad. I'm like, throw me a guitar pick, and did not work out.
How much did Julian talk?
He said I have a disdain for stage banter, but here I am, and he would talk a little and a little, but it was great.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I've decided now, though, I want to get just one skeleton hand glove like him. I'm like, that feels right,
Ah, yeah,
you know.
yeah,
I'd
yeah.
have a
No,
look. I was doing pink for a while, but it's just too much maintenance, and I just prefer just to be pretty chill. Like, I don't need to
right.
do anything. So I was like, all right, I need to find a new signature look in it, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, you know,
So
and gloves famously work. I mean, obviously you got Julian, you got Michael Jackson, you
yeah.
got OJ. Like, yeah, it works for everybody, really. Yeah.
I love it. Oh my God. Asa, thank you so much. And I'm going to remind the listeners one more time July 11th, Winchester. You can go to the Winchester's website to get tickets, but I highly recommend you head on over and give the guys a follow. Gooseberry Band on IG. You can find them on all the streaming apps. And check out their links there too, because you can get tickets directly through their link. They're extremely affordable, which is awesome. We love that here in the land, especially with gas prices being astronomical. Hello, these guys care about you. So make sure you go check it out. Go follow them. Go listen to all of their music. Highly recommended, and learn what Durak is, because that is a fun game if you want to play a card game. So,
Agreed. And
yes.
yeah, hopefully we see all y'all out there. It'll be fun.
Thank you so much. And appreciate you coming to the Carrie Danger Podcast.
Of course. Thanks for having me.